It's a pleasure and a privilege always to welcome in Pete Paguaga of Game Time CT, the New Haven Register, to talk about hockey. Happy holidays, Pete.
Yeah, happy holidays, Mark. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in. And this is one of your favorite times of year once the hockey season gets going. Am I right?
Oh, my God, absolutely. I mean, multiple games at the rinks. You know, you get to kind of spend a whole day, watch 4 or 6 teams. It's always a good time.
Only 4 or 6. I thought you were going to say 4 to 6 games.
Oh,
knowing
2
you,
to 3 games.
If you can find them. If you could work it into the schedule, you'd go and see 4 or 5 games.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. If I could, I would 100% do that. And you know, once we get later in the year, it actually gets like that. So it's kind of fun.
It does. It's a special time, and the fans are so supportive in hockey as they are, for the other sports. But this year, I think hockey is on an uptick around the state. I think play is a little bit better. And competitive when you look at the fact that only 2 of the Division I teams left, only like 4 or 5 games in, are undefeated.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams really stack their schedules early in the year, especially the FCX teams who have to play a full FCX schedule, including Division II and Division III teams, where you're seeing Darien play. Darien played Prep last night.
Right.
You're seeing a lot of crossover. Darien played Camden. All these schools are crossing over early in the season, and it's pretty exciting to see. I mean, Wednesday night we had 8 of the top 10 teams in our poll play against each other.
And it started in the first game of the season when number 1 and number 2 played. Number 1, and it still is because the poll's on hiatus, Fairfield Prep, hosted number 2 Richfield, and that was a great matchup right away.
Yeah, I think Richfield, Prep is Prep. The evil empire will rise. They always do. The Death Star will be fully functional come March. It always happens to them. But I think right now, Richfield is the best team in the state. You look at that top line, and Nick Cullen, Foster, and Will Foster, Matt Walker. They've scored 12 of the 16 goals for Richfield this year. And Richfield is hot. I mean, they are playing the best hockey in the state right now. And a lot of people did pick them earlier in the year. I picked Greenwich for my own reasons. But I think right now there is no better team in the state right now than Richfield.
And can they sustain it, though? Are they deep enough? It's a bit of a grind on the hockey side.
This is a team, though, that made the run a couple of years ago, where I think a lot of these seniors were sophomores on the team. So they've been there. And in a hockey locker room, that's probably one of the most important things, is having guys who've been there, having guys who've done that grind, get into the tournament and know how to win games to get to Yale. They know what it takes to get to Yale. And it's a pretty fun group to watch.
Let's stay in the FCX and a team that you talked about that may not be on all cylinders yet, but you're a preseason pick, Greenwich.
Yes.
They lost a ton of players to graduation, and a couple moved on to maybe a higher level at the prep school level. But what do you think about the Cardinals?
Well, they got Ben Nash back, and when you have your starting goalie back on a team that lost in the finals, that's a good thing. He made 34 saves last night against New Canaan, played really well. The one goal he didn't have a chance to see, made 34 saves last night. Matt Davies back. He scored the game-winning goal in the semifinals against Xavier to get them to the finals last year. But again, you have a goalie. Ben Nash might be the best goalie in the state. And when he's in your net, when he's in between the pipes, you can win any game. And, you run into a hot goalie at any point in the season, it's very hard to beat them. And, this Greenwich team is getting better. They're still, I was talking to Coach Chris last night, and they're still trying to figure some stuff out, but it's easy to figure it out when you have a goalie like Ben Nash in net who keeps you in every game.
We could go down the list, and we will a little bit, in the FCX. Is it the best league when you talk about Greenwich, New Canaan, Darien? Even Trinity Catholic's off to a good start. They used to be, but probably when you were in the crib, they used to be a power.
I've heard.
Year in and year out at Trinity Catholic, but now you've got New Canaan that's playing well, Darien and Trinity.
I mean, I think Darien might be the most underrated team in the FCX, regardless of where they are voted in the poll. They didn't really have the best year last year. A lot of those guys are back. They're playing well. That said about the FCX, and I would love to say they're the best conference. They have the best top teams.
Well, I'm not going to force
you. But when you look at the schedule that the FCX teams play, it's kind of hard to see. They went 16-4 and they played an FCX schedule with 4 or 5 Division III teams, and you look at a prep, and they might get in with 10 wins, but they've played 20 outstanding opponents up and down the state, even out of state. So it's like, well, what would you rather be? Who do you think's better? And I think once we get to the tournament, we really see that. Now, that said, we have FCX teams who are playing at Yale every year. So I think the top of the FCX is really good, but we don't really get to see that until March when they get into the tournament, especially the D1 tournament, and they're playing other D1 teams consistently every night. It's not a knock on any of the FCAC teams. It's just the way that the schedule is formed, where they go through a stretch where they're not really playing these high-level opponents, and it just, do you kind of take a back seat during that game, maybe take that game off, and then you kind of see how it goes.
Sure.
But I think the top of the FCAC this year is, extremely dangerous. Richfield, Darien, New Canaan, Greenwich. You can just go down the list. I mean, these teams are good.
And in the SEC, I think the top is very talented as well. We
always
talked about Fairfield Prep. Hamden may be coming back toward its glory days as well.
Every
right?
year, I don't think you can count Hamden out. The story, look, it's a historic high school hockey program in the state. It might be the most, legendary high school program in the state. And every year they're in it. It doesn't matter whether they lost 20 guys or bringing 20 guys back or lost guys to transfer or have guys come back. They're always, always, always in it. You see Hamden on the schedule, you're worried. You're like, oh, we have to play Hamden. It doesn't matter whether they have 1 win or 10 wins. You get them in the tournament. I think it was 2 years ago they made a deep run as like a lower seat. And it's like, well, that's just Hamden. And when you're a program like that and you come in with that confidence and you see all those banners at the Lou and it's like, if you're an opposing team to go in there and you see, not only New England championships, there's a national championship banner up there. Some legendary players have played there. And you kind of look around, it's a tiny arena, and you're like, oh, this is not going to be an easy place to play.
No, it's a great venue as well. So we've talked a lot about Division I. Let's talk about the 2 and in 3 in particular with the co-op teams in this situation. You got E.O. Smith, Tallinn. The breakup of that, they try to keep it together. The CIC forced them apart, and same thing for NFI, that co-op. What do you make of all that?
Well, we were talking before, and it stinks to see. As someone who played hockey, I still play hockey. You want to get as many kids as you can get to play hockey. Hockey is obviously not the biggest sport in the state. That said, the CIC, they have their guidelines, they have their rules, and these teams know what is coming. You know what I mean? You can look at graduation. You can look at, okay, well, this kid's from this school, he's graduating. You can kind of see the tide turning with the rosters. And I think you need to be prepared for something like that. Obviously, every case is different, and, we don't know the full extent or the full details of every case. That said, I've covered a lot of co-ops. Talk to coaches. They know what's coming. They know, oh, well, this might be the year where we have this big class coming in from one of our main schools, so we might, we might hit the limit and then have to maybe let go of one of the co-ops. It stinks. It's not, you don't want to see people not playing hockey.
No, it's not good for the overall sport. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to ask Pete the toughest question of the night real quickly when we come back in our final segment on CT Sports Now. Best 3 places for a pretzel. Hockey-wise.
Ooh, Yale's number 1 because it's always fresh during the championships. Ooh, God, you put me on the spot here. I think I'm going to have to throw Northford
15 seconds.
Ice Pavilion in there at 2. They're good. And then I want to say Milford 3.
All right, the pretzel man has spoken. Thank you to Pete Paguaga. Thank you to everybody. We've run out of time. My partner, no offense, will be back tomorrow. Until then, I'm Mark Robbins. Enjoy Connecticut, everybody.